days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time, and we get to talk about all kinds of stuff from 49ers land, from Kyle Shanahan throwing blems and taking Brandon Aiyuk to Blem Road, to all the other things, including signing of Trenton Cannon, which may be a little bit more than what people think. Well, I guess it's not a signing, it's a claiming, but they claimed him off waivers. He's going to be on the 49ers roster. Maybe there's more to it than people think. This isn't just a throwaway.
Yeah, it's definitely got some interesting insight here and some things to talk about with that Trenton Cannon signing, as well as practice updates. So make sure you hit that like button right now. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Be one of the 30% of people who also have hit the notification bell and are notified for all of our episodes, because you don't want to miss those. We got content coming at you daily from every which direction, so don't miss out on any of it. But Ant, let's get into the first thing. Let's get into, before we get to Blem Road, right? Let's enjoy the path that gets us to Blem Road, and let's start with the Trenton Cannon signing. You mentioned it, you teased it a little bit. There might be more to this than meets the eye. Why is that? What is it about Trenton Cannon and what he does that maybe there's a little bit something else here other than just bringing this guy in?
Yeah, so the first thing that we noticed was that he was a quick guy. I mean, that's the first thing. You want to see how fast they are. He's a guy that is dynamic with a 4.4 speed, so somebody that you understand what he can do in the outside zone game. So you look at him as a running back, and you see those characteristics. He can catch the ball in the backfield. He's been playing for Baltimore. He's played for the Jets. He's played for Carolina. So he's had a well-traveled player since 2018 when he came out in the draft. But he has a lot of ability, and somebody that, as a 6th-round pick, which look what Elijah Mitchell does that as a 6th-round pick for the 49ers. So Bobby Turner could possibly develop this guy. Let's see what they end up doing with him. But I think the thing that's the most interesting when you're watching some of his film is how he plays on special teams. The very gifted kick returner, punt returner, and also a gunner on special teams. Could this signal the fact that maybe an inactive this week could be Ambry Thomas, and this guy could take over that kick return role? And then, because now Elijah Mitchell is going to be one of your featured backs, he's not going to be doing as much kick returning as he could have done with Raheem Mostert as a starting running back. So you make a change, you bring in somebody that has a special teams ability, and now it kind of changes the game a little bit. So could the signing of Cannon really be a special teams move with possibly some running back upside? It's something to think about.
It really is. This guy's a 6th-round pick, like you talked about, Ant. He shows a lot of the things that Kyle Shanahan looks for in a running back. Great vision. He's physical at times. He's very athletic as a runner in space, and he's fast. Very good at sticking his foot in the ground and getting into the hole in space. He's shown that in Carolina. He showed that in his college highlight films that we watched, and then the kick return ability. Almost took one to the house for Carolina against Washington when he first came in the league. So it's a guy who's got a lot of talent and has also forced some fumbles and been a great gunner on special teams. So if you're doing all of those things with as many cornerbacks that are in the room, right? There's 7 names on this roster right now that are DBs. You're not going to roll into this game with all 7 of these guys active. So is Ambry Thomas the guy on the chopping block, right? Is he the name that's going to get not put in the active role, in that active slot, and they're going to roll with Kirkpatrick, right? They're going to roll with Diamondo Lenore, roll with Josh Norman, and all of these guys be active this week, the new names, and let this new guy, Trenton Cannon, come in. He adds a little bit of depth to the running back room and can have an immediate impact in special teams, right, as a returner and as a gunner. This makes sense. When you brought this up, and we talked about this a little bit, we were watching the film, and I was thinking it, and I was like, before we started recording, I was like, Ann, is there any chance? And before I can even get the words out of my mouth, you're like, dude, I think this is special team. I think this might be a special teams move like this, and it makes sense. It really, really does. All of the pieces line up to this being the case, and with Ambry Thomas not impressing in week 1, does this hurt? It really doesn't hurt anything because you don't expect Ambry Thomas to even see the field in the secondary.
Yeah, and now we know why they left a roster spot open. David Lombardi had put out there, hey, they only have 52 guys. They have a spot open. We talked about the fact that probably something was going to happen. There was a move imminent. Was there a trade? Was there a signing? What was there? And what it was, they were going to claim this guy off waivers from the Baltimore Ravens. He played against the Raiders on Monday night, had 2 carries for 5 yards. Nothing to write home about. So if you're looking at him making an impact as a running back, it's not going to happen early on. But where he could make an impact, like we talked about, is on special teams.
Yep.
And that is a big part of the football game because When you can, especially a gunner like that, if you can go ahead and stop people and pin them deep, that's huge. You add in the fact that if he can add the kick return aspect, which wasn't good with Ambry Thomas. Ambry Thomas wasn't very successful. I think they always planned on it being Elijah Mitchell, but because Elijah Mitchell was thrust into that prominent role as a running back, now he's not going to be that kick returner for you. So your options dwindle a little bit. You don't really want Brandon Aiyuk and Mohamed Sanu returning kicks. You want them returning punts. It's a different game. It's a different animal. So this could be that way. This could be the way they go with it because they're not ready to bring Travis Benjamin up. They're not ready to use Travis Benjamin in that role. So maybe this is the way they go because this guy's on the 53-man right now.
He is. He's on the 53. This is the route that they're going, and we'll see what happens, whether it's him active or him inactive. It'll be very interesting to see what route they take with this Trenton Cannon individual, this young fella.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is definitely some promise as well. This is not necessarily a guy who's ready right now to be a running back, but there have been journeyman running backs who've come into San Francisco and had some success. I don't know. I feel like the Mostarati was bouncing around the league for a little bit before he found his way to San Francisco and started off as a returner and a gunner before he, found his way into RB1 positioning with San Francisco. So it's not like this hasn't happened before. If Kyle Shanahan feels there's something there and they feel they can develop this kid, this is definitely worth a shot.
Yeah, if you're going to trust anyone, you're going to trust Bobby Turner.
Absolutely.
So if Bobby Turner's had this guy in his eyes, eyes on him, then that's a possibility. Also, it could be a Richie Hightower thing. If Richie Hightower saw this guy and wants to bring him in, he was right about Trenton Sherfield. He said, hey, this guy's going to help on special teams, and he can help you on the field as well as a receiver. And he wasn't wrong. In fact, he was underselling it because Trent Sherfield has developed to be even something better. So maybe we've got to sign off from both these guys. If you got Richie Hightower saying, yeah, this guy can help me on special teams, and Bobby Turner saying, hey, I can develop this guy because he has a similar build to Elijah Mitchell now.
Mitchell, yeah.
I think they are similar in build now. He wasn't when he came out of college. He was only really small at 185 pounds, but similar running style. So it'll be interesting. I think this is kind of something to keep an eye on. It might be nothing. You know what I mean? It might be one of these things where he's on the roster for a little bit and then he's gone. But it could also, turn into something. If you look at his skill set, maybe sometimes it gives you an idea of what he could be.
Absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see what happens because this isn't the only thing that's been going on in San Francisco land that's got people raising some eyebrows. Maybe not so much for the casual fan looking at the Trenton Cannon signing, but maybe they're going, what's going on here? It raised our eyebrows indeed. But Kyle Shanahan's comments about Brandon Aiyuk and the situation with Trent Sherfield definitely have the eyebrows raised. He's not in the doghouse. It doesn't sound like he's in the doghouse, Ant. But you and I joked about this a little bit earlier today. While he may not be in the doghouse, he's definitely not in the house with everybody else, right? Having a good time, sitting around at the dinner table. You likened it to Snoopy sitting on top of the doghouse in a joking manner.
Yep.
He's not in it yet, but he's definitely been put around that area and basically being told to sniff around and get comfortable out there unless you want to come back in the house.
Mm-hmm.
Blem Road is here. Kyle Shanahan is throwing blems per you. I don't know if I'm willing to go there yet, Ant, but let everyone else know why you think the blems are out in full force.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows, there's subliminals. There's subliminal messages that are being sent his way. A lot of times these coaches talk through the media. And yeah, me and Alex will have a little bit of differing opinion on what is being done here with Brandon Aiyuk, and that's fine. I think Kyle Shanahan is sending a message to Brandon Aiyuk that you need to step up and elevate your game. There has been no joke, and no one can even say that this is not the case, that Kyle Shanahan believes that this guy could be as good as Isaac Bruce or better. That is who he saw when he watched him. That's who he saw when he evaluated him. And just from his statements alone, he has basically said that as of right now, Brandon Aiyuk hasn't reached the potential or hasn't reached that level. He's been inconsistent in his play, which we saw throughout camp. That is 100% accurate. He was inconsistent in games. He was inconsistent at camp. Do I think he has the ability? Do I think they believe he has the ability? Yes. But Kyle Shanahan's giving this guy a nudge right now, and he's sending subliminal messages to him, letting him know that he needs to get out there, he needs to make plays, because if not, there's a capable body right behind him. And the key right there is behind him. But Trent Sherfield has been pushing. Sherfield has been playing well. Yes, I stole that from you. Right behind him, because you did bring that up.
I did.
When you get into it, bring that out even further. But Trent Sherfield is right there, and Sherfield's proven that he deserves playing time. So Brandon Aiyuk has been told by Kyle Shanahan, or he said through the media, once again, through the media, that if Brandon Aiyuk reaches his level and he plays as hard as he can, that basically no one can take his role away from him. He's that good, but he's not playing at that level right now. So yeah, there's subliminal messages going on there. He is definitely Snoopy up on top of that doghouse. He's not inside, but he's definitely hanging around it.
Look, I don't think it's, I don't want to go there with it. I don't believe it's that bad yet. It's definitely,
you have to say it's not that bad means it's
it
that
might
bad.
be actually that bad. It could potentially be that bad. I don't feel like it's that bad for a few reasons.
Okay.
The first being the thing you had already brought up and pointed out, right? You talked about it and you mentioned this already. When he referenced Aiyuk and Sherfield, he referenced that Aiyuk has to play as good as or a lot better than the guy behind him.
Blem.
That's first and foremost. Now, you say Blem, and I say fact. Just a fact of the nature, right? We know.
Oh, it's a fact, but it's a blem because he's not doing it right now.
He's not doing it right now, but I think Brandon Aiyuk, to an extent, knows that he's not doing it right now, and part of that is because he hasn't been on the field. He hasn't been healthy. He's been dealing with a hamstring. That's not an easy thing to overcome.
Then why didn't Kyle just
wide
say,
receiver.
hey, Brandon Aiyuk's recovering from an injury. Once he's fully healthy, he's going to take his role back, no problem. No, he threw a little blem about, he's playing inconsistent. There's a guy right behind him.
Is it a blem, though? But here's the thing, right? In the past, there was no one to push Aiyuk, right? It was Debo, it was Aiyuk. And then there was if you ask me, in my opinion, 1,000 feet of crud and then Kendrick Bourne, right?
Well, I mean, he wasn't in the top conversation for those top two guys.
No, not even close. And Kendrick Bourne was never going to be, right, in the same category as those two guys. Trent Sherfield has far exceeded expectations and far exceeded anything that Kendrick Bourne has ever done in this offense. Ever, at any point in time. Right? Kendrick Bourne was not a deep threat. Kendrick Bourne you couldn't respect if you motioned him on fly sweeps with his ball, getting the ball in open field and doing things. Like, you didn't have to worry about it with Kendrick Bourne. Right. You have to worry about those things with Trent Sherfield. You have to. And so we've talked about this and we've brought this up and we've mentioned this. The fact that there is a chance that Kyle Shanahan views Trent Sherfield now in the same boat, in the same category as these two gentlemen, right? As Deebo Samuel, as Brandon Aiyuk. And Trent Sherfield has earned that. He has earned that right.
Does he?
Does he what?
Do you think he honestly views Trent Sherfield as the same level as Brandon Aiyuk?
I think he views them as closer. Closer. I think closer than he's ever had before in a wide receiver room. Think back to Atlanta. He didn't ever have something like this close. He had a solidified 1A, right, in Julio Jones, and then he had two guys in Mohamed Sanu and Taylor Gabriel at that time in Atlanta that he felt really, really comfortable with, right? But though they weren't at that level. He now has a situation where he thought he had what he had is just two guys, right? In Debo and Aiyuk.
You thought.
Okay.
Interesting.
He thought. He now realizes that he's got an additional guy in Trent Sherfield that does a lot more things than he originally anticipated.
Fair enough.
So because of that, he is rewarding, right? Letting these little reward crumbs out there for Trent Sherfield, building him up. You and I talked about this a little bit. It doesn't make any sense to put Sherfield down. It also doesn't make sense to just throw Aiyuk into the doghouse coming off of a hamstring injury. You can be upset with Aiyuk for the drops. Okay? You can be upset about him not making catches and not making plays.
Being inconsistent.
Fair, okay? Yeah. Fair. All right, fine, fair. Okay? But what you can't do is take your first round pick in his second season while he's coming off of a hamstring and go, by the way, Brandon, who let you back in the house? Get outside. Get out there. You don't belong in here. No. Brandon Aiyuk belongs at the table with everybody else. He's a big boy, right? He's one of the better wideouts on this team, and he's one of the guys that we need to contribute down the road. But what Kyle Shanahan isn't doing, right, is he's not setting him at the table, putting a number one wide receiver satchel over him and crowning him the king of the wide receiver room. He's making him earn it while also building up the guys around him. It doesn't make any sense to put down Sherfield or to not acknowledge the things that Sherfield has accomplished, right? It doesn't make sense not to do that. You want Sherfield to contribute at a high level, and I want Sherfield to push for more snaps and more snaps. What I don't want, though, is Brandon Aiyuk not on the field. Brandon Aiyuk needs to be on the football field. It wasn't necessary in week 1, but that was the Detroit Lions. As we get further into the season, it's going to become more and more necessary. And Kyle is trying to light a flame, right? To keep that thing burning. He is, but he's not throwing blems, and
how else is he going to get his message across? How else is he getting it across without throwing subliminal messages out there?
It's I don't know. I don't know how Kyle Shanahan's brain works, man. But it doesn't feel like a subliminal. Is this not
what he does?
But this doesn't feel like a subliminal.
Is this not what he does? Jalen Hurd needs to get out there. He's not going to make this roster. The next day, Jalen Hurd is out there.
Yes, but then Kyle Shanahan also states what? That they know Jalen Hurd is one of the 6 best wide receivers on this team.
After he comes back and proves that he can practice. Dante Pettis better start doing something. He's not going to be on this football team. Dante Pettis didn't do something not on the football team.
Also accurate.
Now, because here's the thing. When Kyle Shanahan, he doesn't have to do any of this. He could have said, you know what? Brandon Aiyuk, had 10 days off because of the hamstring. He was working through it. He refused to take his foot off the gas. He was working through it. When he's full go, we have no doubt he's going to get all those snaps again because he's that guy. Trent Sherfield is fantastic. Trent Sherfield is going to be able to take those snaps. He can do everything we need him to do while Brandon's getting it together. You know what he said? No, he said, you know what? Brandon Aiyuk has been inconsistent. Trent Sherfield has earned this role. Trent Sherfield is pushing him now, and Brandon Aiyuk needs to... You're
leaving out context.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, because he said he's been a little inconsistent, but because he's been in and out with his injury and stuff, that's what we felt was the best chance for us last week. Aiyuk still got a chance to shore up that spot and not rotate as much.
Has a chance.
Trent just doesn't make that very easy. This doesn't feel like a subliminal to me. It feels like Kyle Shanahan's being honest about the situation.
No, but listen to what you just said. He has a chance to shore up that position.
Correct.
A chance to shore it up.
Yes.
Not a when he's healthy, he has it shored up.
But see, I don't take it that way. I take it as when he says that, when he says he has a chance, he's referring to the fact that he has a chance, meaning if Aiyuk's healthy this week, he has a chance to shore it up.
I think he would just say that. Kyle's a matter-of-fact guy when it comes to injuries. If he's healthy, he will play.
Sometimes, yes, and with injuries, yes. But in terms of like his scheme and his plan, no.
Look at how he handled Debo last year.
I'm aware of that. But do you think he honestly wants the Eagles to know whether or not Aiyuk is 100% healthy and whether or not he's a focal point of the game plan?
What does it help him for them to not think he's going to play 100%?
If they don't prep for Aiyuk at all, and then he goes out there and they start running him on routes, and
then they're derelict of their duties.
I agree with you there, Ant, but there are mind games always being played. Kyle Shanahan is not playing traditional 3D chess. He's not playing traditional 3D chess.
There's no reward from him trying to convince them that Brandon Aiyuk is not 100%. No reward.
I disagree.
Well, you can play however chess you want to play, but this is not what's going on here. Kyle Shanahan is throwing blems out there and telling Brandon Aiyuk, you need to step up your game. You need to play to the potential of a first-round pick that we chose, and we expect you to become somebody great, and you haven't done that yet. And until you do, you're not going to be out there because Trent Sherfield gives our football team a better opportunity to be successful.
Here's the thing, right? I just think it would be way too early in Brandon Aiyuk's development for him to be doing this. Then again, and the thing I'm not taking into consideration... I'm aware of that, but the thing I'm not taking... There's a big difference, though, between Dante Pettis and Brandon Aiyuk.
Is there?
Yes, 100%.
About, what, 20 picks?
20 picks, and also the year one production from Brandon Aiyuk was significantly better than Dante Pettis.
A couple hundred yards?
A couple hundred yards is a lot, Ant.
Yeah, who was Dante playing with?
Doesn't matter who Dante was playing. Aiyuk played less games.
Yeah, he did, because he was injured.
Correct.
Which means he couldn't play to his ability.
Oh, my... I'm just telling you. It out there.
I'm just telling you.
Look, here's the thing. I agree with you that there is definitely a fire being lit. Whether or not it's subliminal or whether or not Kyle is just being flat out honest to God, just telling the truth, I feel it is more that than it is a subliminal. I think it's more about trying to light a fire under Aiyuk while also, paying homage and respect to what Trent Sherfield has done.
Why does he have to pay homage and respect to what Trent Sherfield does?
Because no one expected it.
But he's talking about Brandon Aiyuk. He's not talking about Trent Sherfield.
But yet Trent Sherfield keeps working his way into the conversation. He does,
because Brandon Aiyuk isn't playing to the level that he's supposed to be playing.
But he hasn't been healthy.
You're right.
You can't ignore those things.
So why did he just say that? Brandon Aiyuk is not healthy.
He said that.
No, he says it, but he says he's been inconsistent. He doesn't say Brandon Aiyuk is not healthy.
He's been inconsistent because he's been in and out with the injury.
He's saying he's inconsistent with his practice, but he didn't say he was not inconsistent with his play because of the injury.
Well, but we don't know if that's the case, though.
Oh, okay.
We don't know if that's the case.
I'm just telling you that Kyle Shanahan talks to the media all the time.
I'm happy with Aiyuk. It's nothing against Aiyuk. I'm just happy with Trent, too.
He was also happy with Dante Pettis, and there was nothing against Dante Pettis.
Well, I mean, that changed very quickly.
I want to quantify this by saying I don't think that Brandon Aiyuk is in the same category as Dante Pettis as far as I think Dante was farther down the line because Dante didn't do the things that Brandon Aiyuk still does, right? But there are areas in Brandon Aiyuk's game, he says it in there, that he is not doing well enough. So that's why I'm saying he's throwing out a blem. Maybe it's blocking. Maybe it's something that he's not doing. Kyle didn't go into specifics. He says, I'm not going to go into specifics on this. But every player has these situations. What I'm telling you is Kyle Shanahan is sending a message. This is what Kyle Shanahan does. You can like it or not like it, but he does it consistently with players all the time. And the players respond because he goes and he tells them, I guarantee a position coach has been telling Brandon Aiyuk this the whole time.
Wes Welker's probably been on him about this.
And you know what is going on is it's not being heard. It's not being responded to. So Kyle Shanahan is saying, you know what? Here you go, buddy. Here's your message. Sometimes the only time they understand is when you speak it through the media. And he did it.
I I still think that this is obviously targeted at Aiyuk. I just don't think it's Blem road yet. And I don't think we're there. I don't think we're that close to doghouse territory.
No, I don't think. Well, once again, like I said, I don't think he's in the doghouse. I don't think this is Dante
think he's
Pettis.
sitting on top of the doghouse?
100% I do.
I think he's
100%.
been. I think he's been ushered outside and the doors have been closed, and he's watching Trent Sherfield sitting at the table with everybody else having a nice dinner while he's sitting out there wondering when it's going to be his turn to sit at the table.
Yeah. Why is he out there though?
He's out there because he hasn't been healthy.
Oh, you put someone that's not healthy out on the doghouse.
Well, listen, you don't put on the doghouse. He's not in the doghouse, and he's outside, because he hasn't been producing. He hasn't been doing the things that he needs to do, and a portion of that is because of injury. Kyle Shanahan has said as much.
Yeah, he did, and you're right. Last year, Deebo Samuel, when he was coming back from the similar hamstring injury, wasn't in no doghouse. He wasn't on the doghouse. He wasn't outside the house. It was when Deebo comes back, Deebo's going to step in and play right away because we know what Deebo can do, and Deebo can bring a lot to this football team. And Deebo wasn't having to worry about Trent Sherfield behind him or Kendrick Bourne behind him.
He didn't have Trent Sherfield behind him.
But he always used to praise Kendrick Bourne.
The circumstances are extremely different. You know this.
No.
Don't you dare put Kendrick Bourne in the same category as Trent Sherfield. Don't you do it.
I'm not saying they're in the same category, but I'm saying this isn't that much different.
This situation feels significantly different.
I think, unfortunately, people have an idea of what Brandon Aiyuk is, so they don't want to admit that he hasn't played to the level that he's supposed to have played in this offseason. Last year, he played well. This year, we haven't seen the same production from him. There's a reason he's not targeted in that game. And I don't think any of it has to do with his hamstring.
I think it's health.
You think it's health?
I do.
So you return punts, but you can't go. You're running routes full speed down the field, but you can't get targeted?
How many opportunities did he have to actually return punts?
2, I think. I'm just saying, but so it's okay for him to go run routes, run verticals on a hamstring.
Just saying.
But you can't get targeted on those.
Well, here's the thing, right? He played. They had him active, so he was close to 100%, but he wasn't fully 100%, which would make sense as to why he rotated in. Also, why they're willing to give Trent Sherfield more of a run is the way Trent Sherfield has played. All of those things logically line up. Is there more to it? There 100% could be more to it, and Kyle Shanahan could be, and he could be this way. Here's the thing I don't always take into consideration with the situation. It's the fact that Kyle Shanahan is extremely tough on wideouts, like harder than most other positions. So you may be 100% right on this, Ant, and the game usually is here, right? Is Ant wins.
Well,
so you might be right on this, but I'm not willing to go there yet. Well, I need more than 1 week of the regular season to convince me that there's something more serious.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion. I've just been reading it throughout the preseason. Brandon Aiyuk has the ball thrown over his head by Jimmy Garoppolo. He tries to go up to make a catch. Kyle Shanahan says straight up, that's Brandon Aiyuk's fault. He's got to make that catch. That is a real thing. And that is what Kyle does. And those type of things stick in Kyle's mind. I mean,
I'm not gonna lie. If one drop is the reason why, if it's a couple of drops, but my thing is that even to me still, when I watch that play back, I don't think 100% on Aiyuk. I think that's an extremely difficult catch. I expect Aiyuk to make the catch.
I agree.
But the fact that he doesn't right now in a preseason game doesn't do anything for him. It doesn't move a needle around.
I agree. What else did he do? Drop a ball from Trey Lance.
You know my thoughts and
I agree 100%. But I'm telling you, what do we know about Kyle Shanahan?
I like drops. He's hard on wide receivers.
He is.
I hope if this is really what's going on, this really is Blem road, then Aiyuk needs to step up.
He's going to respond.
He has to.
He's going to respond. I wouldn't even be surprised if he has a good game against Philly.
He needs to.
But it'll be because Kyle Shanahan went out there and made something happen on Blem road. Jalen Hurd, Blem road, gets it done. You know what I mean? This is what happens when Kyle puts someone on Blem road.
Dante Pettis Blem road didn't.
Huh?
Dante Pettis.
Oh no, he put him on Blem road, and when he didn't respond, he sent him packing.
Full into the doghouse, and
you better respond.
Gone forever.
You better respond.
Never to be seen again in San Francisco.
And Brandon Aiyuk is not that close. Brandon Aiyuk is not close to what Dante Pettis was, but he's trying to give his young receiver a kick in the pants and telling him like, dude, it's time to play a little bit better because we do have people that are behind you that are capable.
True. I mean, I think this speaks more of his confidence to not just Trent Sherfield, but the entirety of this wide receiver room. Right? I think he's got a lot of confidence in Sanu. I think he's got a lot of confidence in Juwan Jennings. And, he obviously knows, everyone knows now, or should know now by now, how he feels about Jalen Hurd. And with Jalen Hurd's able to come back in a couple weeks and be healthy and good to go, and Ayuk's not responding and answering the toll, there could be some serious problems for Aiyuk.
Well, we need Brandon Aiyuk to respond because Brandon Aiyuk does things that the other guys can't do. Yes. I mean, because as much as we want to talk about Trent Sherfield's not as good as Brandon Aiyuk. Brandon Aiyuk's talent is far exceeding the things he can do vertically down the field, the athletic ability he has, the way he can create on quick passes out in the flat are all things that he does at a very high level, but he has to be able to do them consistently. And one of those things you have to be able to do is you have to be able to catch the ball when the ball is thrown to you. And Kyle's letting him know you need to do that.
It's so hard, man.
I know you're struggling with it.
I really am, because I don't want this to be Blem Road. I don't want this to be the case.
I don't think we have to look at Blem Road as being a bad thing.
Well, here's the thing for me is what I don't want is our first round overall pick to be at a point here in his second year as a wideout in the system, in the NFL, to be at a point where he feels complacent with his role and his job and his responsibility within the team and the organization.
Why would he feel complacent?
Well, I mean, if he feels like there's a big gap between him and Trent Sherfield. I mean, here's the thing, right? Kyle Shanahan's trying to make it apparent that that's not the case. The splitting snaps, even if it's not a health issue, then the splitting snaps is that signal. The comments this week is that signal, and everything is trending towards Kyle Shanahan, this organization, the coaching staff, trying to let him know that, hey, there may be a big talent gap, but there's not a big performance gap, and you better increase the performance gap if you want to remain on the field and be a guy that we go to. But I know Kyle Shanahan says he hasn't taken his foot fully off the gas pedal. But what he didn't say is Brandon Aiyuk hasn't taken his foot off the gas pedal. This has nothing to do with that. He has mentioned that. That is the one comment that Kyle Shanahan made that was the red flag for me. He said, he hasn't taken his foot completely off the gas pedal, but you're telling me he's taking it a little bit off the gas pedal. And regardless of whatever the reason is, right? Preseason, he doesn't want the grind, he was hurt, whatever it is, you don't want to hear that out of a second-year player in the league.
So you admit he threw a blem.
I feel that one was a blem. That would be the only comment made that I felt was an actual blem. But the rest of the comment, no, it's not Blem Road. It's one blem, not Blem Road.
Welcome
a single
to Blem Road. It's okay.
Dang it, Ant.
We're all welcome here on Blem Road.
I don't want to be on Blem Road. I don't want to be here. It's fine. You know what? It's fine. Let's get to something else other than Brandon Aiyuk and Blem Road.
Let's do that.
Because this Brandon Aiyuk stuff is driving me up a wall, Ant, because we're talking about it, yes, but everyone else is talking about it, and everyone else is blowing it into orbit, right? So let's focus on some other things. Let's focus on some DNP. Well, and we just went from negative to negative. All right, great. DNPs in practice today. Yesterday. Armstead, Greenlaw, Kinlaw, Mosley. No real surprises there other than Eric Armstead, who's dealing with a hip abductor. Does it concern you?
No, because the way that they've kind of acted was that he was going to be able to play. Seems more precautionary and that he'll be ready to roll. If he continues to miss practice of the week, I'll probably get more concerned depending on what Kyle Shanahan has to say. But I'm not going to worry about it yet. But it is a little concerning every time you hear that one of your big guys is injured.
I won't be concerned if he doesn't practice tomorrow. Friday, if he doesn't get a limited day in, I'll be a little more concerned.
Okay.
If he doesn't get a limited day in on Friday, then we got some questions. If he gets a full practice in on Friday, he's good to go.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That's where I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So there's that. Greenlaw obviously still dealing with the groin. Kinlaw, knee. Mosley listed as knee, not hammy. Concerning or progression for him?
Probably the same thing. I mean, you know how it is. I think that he's still on outside chance of playing, but I think that the moves that they've made, it's kind of trending towards him not being able to play. Them trying to get him healthy for Green Bay. I think that is probably the target that they're trying to work with. But they got to make sure they don't lose him for a longer period of time. And if you rush him out there, you possibly could lose him for longer. They just don't do that.
Please don't.
Yeah.
We need Emmanuel. I know he was in the game simulation, but there's only so many moves that a man can make with a Madden team before he's out of moves. And you just don't want that. Just don't want that. So look, it's going to be interesting with Mosley. Definitely going to be interesting with Greenlaw to see what happens there and how he's progressing with his groin. I'm not concerned yet with that. Kinlaw, same thing. Not super concerned yet.
I think they pulled Greenlaw out because the game got out of hand. I think that if the game wouldn't have got out of hand, I think he probably would have played longer. But it's still something to keep an eye on because it's a groin. And anytime it's a groin, that's a little concerning.
Always. Those groin muscles, man, can linger. Groins and hamstrings linger.
Yeah.
And they linger far longer than they should. And it's just one of those things where, if you're not right, you're not 100% healthy. All it takes is one time where you're trying to explode out in space and you just do a little bit too much and push off a little incorrectly, and it can just aggravate and annoy you for, it could be.
Well, and if you get a pull, you're out for a while.
Quite a long time. Longer than we need or can afford with this defense.
100%. We need Greenlaw out there playing.
Absolutely. Limited practice today. Marcel Harris and Dee Ford. Dee Ford dealing with a little bit of an ankle sprain, but nothing too concerning. Limited practice with an ankle sprain means that he's on track to go.
Yeah, he's going to be good to go. I don't think there's any concern. Dee Ford will be out there playing, especially in the role that they're using him in. He played more snaps against Detroit than I was expecting, which I liked. He wasn't on a pitch count. He was out there playing, and he was, causing a lot of issues. That's nice. And we do need Marcel Harris because Marcel Harris is a dynamite special teams player. Plus, the way that they have the speed from the running backs for Philly, it would be nice to see Marcel Harris out there in certain situations. I think Aziz is going to spend most of the time, but if you have situations where you need Marcel, it'd be nice to have him out there instead of Flanagan Foles. I think he's an upgrade in the pass concept game.
Absolutely. Definitely out there in the pass concepts, being able to cover out in space. They're going to try and get Miles Sanders out in space.
Yeah.
That Jalen Hurts likes to throw those checkdowns underneath. Kenny Gainwell could be out there operating in the slot as well, so getting Marcel Harris in certain situations. We can cover those running backs out in the flats, little stuff over the middle of the field. Going to be very important for this team because while I do like a lot of the things that Alshire does and did this last weekend, still questions about him being able to cover long-term in this league, especially out in space.
Yeah, we need consistency, and if he proves it in this game, again, this is going to be a good test. These two running backs can catch the ball, the backfield, and they can make plays. So he's got to be able to tackle them in front of the sticks. Make sure you tackle them at the contact points. All those things are important and pivotal to the 49ers' success on defense.
Absolutely. Definitely going to be the case indeed, and we'll see how things play out. And as we get further into the week, what other news and information is coming out? Let us know down below right now in the comment section how you felt about all of today's topics, from Trenton Cannon becoming a 49er, being on the active roster, all the updates about practices and injuries, and Blem Road. Are we there? Are we on it? Did you expect a 49ers face-off in the middle of a daily episode? If you did, hit that like button. You were 100% accurate. And if you didn't, let us know what you like, what you didn't like. Am I completely off base here? I'm not willing to get off the Brandon Aiyuk train, and it's time to get on board what Kyle Shanahan's doing and all the blems that are being thrown. Or is it not that? Is it not Blem Road? Yes, he's lighting a fire into this guy, but Kyle Shanahan's just being honest. Let us know down there in the comment section below. And while you're down there commenting away, don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe. Hop on over to the Discord. Head on over to Patreon as well. And because we got a new episode of a 49ers Cutback in Time debuting today.
Yeah, there's a lot of great content that you can get all over from Patreon to right here on YouTube. Even through our traditional platforms as well, which is also exploding in growth. So we really appreciate that. And the one thing to always remember is you can still back Brandon Aiyuk. You can still be on the Brandon Aiyuk train and still realize that Kyle Shanahan is the conductor of throwing blems.
You can do that, Ant, but I don't want to. I'm not going to do it.
I understand that for sure.
Just yet. I'm not saying I won't come around, but at this point in time, I'm not there yet. We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll see if Kyle Shanahan has any more actual blems to throw out there and if I'm singing a different tune in Friday's episode. But until that time, 49ers fans and the Cutback crew, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way, and not throwing.